Hello, I'm Hannah from the Lethbridge Transparency Council, and I'm here interviewing Shelby Macleod, a city council candidate. Welcome, Shelby.
Well, welcome and thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I really appreciate you joining us. So starting off, what do you think needs improvement in the processes of city council and administration?
Well, you know, I'm an avid council watcher, and I have to say I really enjoyed the changes that the city departments have brought forward under the management of Craig Dalton. I like the SPC versions. I like the fact that it's available online 24 hours a day. And I think that there might be some things that could be tweaked. It's a work in progress, but by and by, I think it's a pretty great system.
Yeah, I also appreciated the changes that they made. I think that that's a step in the right direction for sure.
Right.
So what recommendations would you make to engage more citizens in the city's municipal development plan and process?
To be honest, I don't think the average citizen really understands the MDP. It's a very big document, and usually people do not become engaged until they realize that it's not meeting their needs, or they want something done and they go, well, why can't I have a chicken in my backyard? Well, you know, that sort of thing. Or why can't I build a shed? So yeah. It's getting user awareness is always difficult, and it's a learning process. And you know, we aren't tech savvy, and so I think as everything's online with the city, people will start referencing and going there and looking things up.
Yeah, certainly as things come, I think we'll get more familiar with the process and how that works for sure. So what do you think the top 3 issues are in the community, and how do you plan to address them?
Well, the one thing that I hear from a lot of the seniors and people that are concerned about taxation is right now they feel like they need breathing space. They need the city council to hold the line. We all know that wages and costs of maintenance and building are expensive, and they have, especially on maintenance and wages, they go on forever. As long as the building is open, you have to maintain it and you have to staff it. So I think people are looking for that breathing space, and I think that the city council will try to accommodate that. Now Lethbridge is totally blessed, and this is part of my, I don't know if it's my taxation, but we have an aging demographic, and as we age, we need medical services. And right now, we are really quite, I'm going to say the word blessed. We have an MRI clinic and a public MRI. And so people are used to getting services right away. Now, I understand there's 10,000 people looking for doctors because doctors are leaving or aging or whatever's happening in their private life. And I personally do not have a doctor, haven't had one for over 8 months. And so I rely on walk-in clinic or doctor on demand or emergency department, but we can't run a city that way. And so when you want economic development to bring a plant, bring a whatever to the community, and they're going to employ you know, a few people to maybe even 100, medical services and doctors are really important. So that comes along with taxation, I believe, on clinics and whatnot. So the more clinics we have operating, the better the taxation base. Now, when I look at crime and the homelessness situation in the community, I don't know enough about who's doing the crime or when it's being committed. I've been told a lot of the crime is done by people from Calgary and points north. I don't know that to be true. I think that we need a balance. Our police department, I think, is doing a great job. I think under the new chief, the policing team is really working hard to stem the problems. I mean, drug dealers, sadly, they don't seem to go away, and we can't arrest ourselves out of the problem. So that's an area that we'll always have to pay attention to. And adequate low-cost housing. Because we have a university and a college, lots of the, I don't want to say preferable rental accommodations or cost neutral, not neutral, but cost affordable housing is taken up by students, which that's fine. So then our ordinary citizen that lives here year after year, as their family grows, sometimes they don't have the appropriate housing. So we do need a good inventory of low income housing, because medium to upper income accommodations, people will afford what they can afford.
Yeah, I certainly can resonate that. I know my uncle is looking for a place to live. He's just trying to find a place to rent and was really struggling with trying to find a place that wasn't really expensive, because all of the lower ones were taken by students. So I certainly can resonate with that point for sure. On that same kind of vein, you were talking earlier about clinics. What do you plan on doing to invest in businesses in Lethbridge?
Well, I think business investment, there's a balance. You will always have the bigger organizations that come to you and they'll say, what can you do for me? I worked for the minister, Clint Dunford. I was chief of staff, and we had economic development after we had human resource and employment. And big corporations, they like amenities. But having said that, our ordinary day-to-day small business are the ones who are the bread and butter of the community. And if we have, we can have post-secondary institutions, and they can employ 200 or 300 people, which is great, but we still need to have a fair balance of concessions on tax breaks or incentives. We have a new clinic that just opened downtown, and they had taken advantage of an incentive that the province had allowed the city to use. And that's a good thing, because now they're employing far more people than they did before, and it's a good service to the community. So there has to be balance.
Absolutely. So looking at the most recent MDP, what decisions, I know it's a big document, but what decisions did you agree with and what decisions did you disagree with?
Well, because I'm not building anything, I'm just a listener to the people who make a complaint one way or the other, or think it's gone too far. And yet 269 pages. I'm not sure that it's not user-friendly. I think it's overwhelming. But as people use the document, and the biggest thing is, during COVID, people didn't have the luxury of going in and sitting down with a city planner. They had to do it over the phone, over Zoom. And so you lose something in translation. So now that we're getting back into a more normal situation, because back in the days before, I used to see developers or builders in there talking to the planners and trying to figure out how they could best accommodate something. So, and I see where there's appeal mechanisms. So if you're going to build a deck or build a new house, and the setback isn't quite right, or even an office building, the city planners are pretty, I think, flexible, and they want to have development in the city. It's not about saying no, it's about having the right fit for the area where you want to put your office, your item, or your plant.
Absolutely, and having that flexibility is certainly really important in
right.
any business and in government as well. So shifting gears to talk about transportation, how would you prioritize transportation for the future in Lethbridge?
Well, we are Southern Alberta, and I used to tell people we're kind of like the Texas or the California of Alberta. We like our cars, and because we are blessed or cursed, I'm not sure which it is, Chinook winds, windy winds in the summer and whatnot, people tend to use a car more. And especially if you're taking your kids to and fro to hockey or a sporting event, getting groceries, although now COVID has trained us to do our ordering online and they'll be delivered to the door. So transportation for the people that have a car, a vehicle, it's a luxury. And then we need a good, responsive infrastructure for people who do not own a vehicle. In this day and age where they're saying, hop the bus, take your bike, we need to have proper safety for the bike lanes, and we need to ensure that the bus, even though there's major routes right now, I understand people are being accommodated so they can get to and from the college or the university from downtown in a very short period of time. That's great, but if you live off one of the feeder routes and you're a little older, getting to the bus stop is not the easiest thing. I've heard quite a few complaints, but I think that the city is going to work on it, and I know that they have Go Friendly with the 2 senior groups. I'm not sure that the vehicles are actually operating right now with COVID, but I think that we need to look towards accommodating people who do not choose to drive or can drive, and get them to and from wherever they need to go in a timely manner. And I would love to see free busing on weekends. I see people walking, and I think if they could just hop the bus, don't have to worry about a pass, or they could get to where they're going. Now, walking is good; everybody needs to walk, but utilization of the bus service, I think we need to look at getting some numbers up.
Yeah, and certainly on the weekends, particularly with the student population, I think you have a lot of people using that to get to bars and clubs and stuff and get home for sure. So.
Yeah, well, and sporting events,
Absolutely.
Parking is always a premium. I mean, allegedly that we're the only, the NMAX is the only place in North America that, as I understand it, that does not charge for parking. And so whether we would move towards a fee for parking, that would not make the people that use the facility or attend the games there happy, but so that if it ever did come in, you could hop the bus and there you are, you're right at the door.
Yeah, that would be lovely. So looking financially, where do you think the city should be spending more money?
As far as spending more money, I would say right now, let's hold the line. Let's complete what we've already started. Let's have our infrastructure, I would say, I don't know if it's a savings account, but enough money so that we can make sure that we water the parks in the hot, dry weather, which it seems like we're going into this evolution of changing climates. So we got the agri-food center on the go right now out at Exhibition Park. That's going to pay dividends to the community of Lethbridge and area, especially bringing people to town. I mean, we're 10 minutes from the airport, and so that you have that air connectivity. I think that we need to stop and think where we want to be in 10, 20, and 30 years. And I think the MDP plan will help with that, and also demographics. We're a hub, we're a resource center. And I had one person say to me, I sure hope they put that bridge in. And I asked the question, they were from rural Alberta. They said, well, my kids like to go to the university and attend sporting events, and it would save time. So that's interesting. So a rural approach to a bridge, well, it maybe holds merit. We need to examine. Performing Arts Center, the same thing is now the time, or is in 5 years the time? And I know it keeps getting kicked down down the road, but again, the taxpayers will only stand for so much, and we need to make sure that maybe there's a private partnership that we can get to build the Performing Arts Center, so people can, we can have an attribute that we can, when we're recruiting people to come to the city, that we can also say, look, we've got this great state-of-the-art center. You'd love to live in Lethbridge. Come on down, spend your money. So.
Yeah, and that goes into my next question, which is just where do you think we should be reducing spending?
Well, reducing spending is the hard part, because the easiest thing is to cut a service or to remove someone's employment. We all know that wages aren't what they used to be. We have a pretty sustainable administration and public service that's being well paid. In the private sector, that's a little bit of a different story. So we have to ensure that we don't price ourselves out of the marketplace, that there's always going to be employee poaching going on, because if there's someone really keen and clever, I might want them to come work for me. And so wages have to be competitive. And young people tend to be portable. We're only 2.5 hours from Calgary. In my 10 years that I worked for the minister, we commuted, Clint and I. We drove to and from Edmonton, sometimes 3 times a week, twice a week. And it just got so that that highway was 5.5 hours to get to our destination, do the job, and then return and come back and carry on business. So people saying, well, I need this, or I'm going to go to Calgary. I don't have an answer for that at this time. We can't keep everybody in Lethbridge. We can't have a job for everyone in Lethbridge. So we need to have a balance, and a sustainable balance.
Absolutely. I think that's really important to looking at spending for sure. So what criteria do you recommend that the city examine prior to approving capital projects?
Well, I think they have done I must say, a very good job as of late. I'm very happy that the ATV Center is up and running, even though COVID has put a damper on things. It's a magnificent site, and it accommodates a lot of people. I do remember when I said, "What's going to happen? People won't travel all the way to the ATV Center," and I was wrong. Their membership flourished. So you build it, and sometimes they will come, and that was a proven fact. Now, as far as evaluating capital costs, sometimes there's collaborations, and the exhibition Agri Center is a prime example of a collaboration that has come together. It's been many years in the offing, but now that center is positioned right there off 43rd, easy access, easy in, easy out. It's going to be a real attribute to the community. So again, that was a measured decision in my view, and it's going to pay dividends to the community. So I think being thoughtful, measuring what you're going to invest in, who's going to benefit, and what year will the payback, if there is ever a payback. Sometimes it's just a community good, but those sort of things have to go into the decision making.
Absolutely. So the last question is just looking at these capital projects in the capital improvement plan. What projects are you in favor of, and what projects are you less in favor of?
Well, I have to say I appreciate them all. I again, if we speak of the bridge, when I've talked to people in North Lethbridge, they probably would never use the bridge, the third bridge. And so you have to be thoughtful. And Art Center, yes, they would use the Art Center. Now I am told where it is planned right now is the footprint isn't big enough. And so we have to look at, we're going to build 2030, 2040, whatever year. And if we had a windfall with funding from the federal or the provincial government, we would probably build sooner. But we have projects underway, and so spending has to be measured. It has to be the right amount of money at the right time. And if we were to go into debt, we have to be honest with the taxpayer and tell them what it's going to cost to borrow that money.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Shelby. I really appreciate you taking the time. Is there anything else you'd like to add or let people know how they can get in touch with you?
Well, they can always get a hold of me. Email is probably the best, shelby@shelbyjmacleod.ca. And I am concerned and support fire and ambulance and EMT responsiveness because of the way the city is laid out. When you have your house is on fire or you're having a crisis, you would like to have the fire or the ambulance there as soon as possible. And so there's dialogue going on now with EMT responsiveness, and I'm sure we won't solve it by October 18th. But I think as a council, we have to be committed to ensure that the provincial government is there to support the people of Lethbridge. And whether they will ever repatriate the dispatch service on EMT to Lethbridge, I don't know. But all we can do is ask. And, we have to be determined that we want to have a great city and enhance our beautiful city. And we have a bridge that's the longest, highest free-span bridge in the world. And it's still standing, and it was built by people who came from far away, and they knew how to make cement. And so here we have the testament of a strong bridge standing as an edifice that we people here can learn from. Build it right and build it to last long and strong.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Shelby. I really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Thank you so much.
And thank you. And I am looking forward to the voting for my vehicle. That's on October the 8th and at the Exhibition Park. And I think we are a leader in the country, 8th, 9th, and 10th. And by the way, the city put out a great voter's guide. It's also online. But I just can't say enough. And thank you to our community partners, our city, and the people that live here to make this a stronger, better city.
Yes, thanks for sharing that. I looked at my guide this morning. My sister-in-law is doing the drive-in voting this weekend, so I'm very excited to see how it goes. Hopefully that's something we can keep moving forward. So thank you so much again.
Thank you. Okay, take care. All right, bye-bye.